Mary Bailey,
I, Mary Bailey,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to support the Constitution of the United States,
to support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
and to discharge faithfully
and to discharge faithfully
the duties of the office of City Council Member
the duties of the office of City Council Member
of the City of Kenyon, Minnesota,
of the City of Kenyon, Minnesota,
to the best of my judgment and ability,
to the best of my judgment and ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
How do I gotta do, should I do it now?
We could just do it.
Right now, and you're watching
Yeah, sure.
that I'm doing it? Okay. I'm doing it right now. All right.
Yeah, I'm watching. It's got flasher ID too.
The agenda for a special city council meeting for February the 9th, 2021. And we will start with reciting the pledge of allegiance. If all will stand and move in here, possible. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning. Is the mic on? They can hardly hear Doug.
Yeah, the mic's on.
It's his one.
I couldn't hardly hear you, Doug.
Oh,
No.
Doug, do you have, there's stuff on top of the mic, I wonder if it's hitting the button there? Okay.
Is that better? Talk.
We'll
I
test
can
it.
hear it.
Can't hear anything.
That's true.
Well, the light's on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on.
So what was happening?
I think you had something pushed down on that button, that kill button there.
Yeah. Well, okay.
I think that's what was causing that. All right.
Well, we'll do it in a call of order. The mayor is here. Councilman Molly Ryan, Dan Letchko, Mary Bailey, John Gard, City Administrator Mark Bolsing, City Attorney Scott Riggs, and Engineer will be here shortly. Is that correct?
Yeah, he's just in the conference room, he's on a
Okay.
call with another city for about 10 minutes or so.
I'm going to go on to citizens' comments. And I believe that we have somebody here. Scott Clowney, are you wish to have something?
I can if they're all right with it.
Yeah.
So I would just like to address the council and the mayor
Bring it
and
closer so we can all hear you, Scott.
city administrator. I don't have anything written down, but 10 and a half years ago, we came to the council as the Veterans of Foreign Wars here in Kenyon, just to ask for your buy-in, I guess you could say, for Veterans Park, if we wanted to pursue a static display of a UH-1 Huey helicopter or something like that, or possibly an airplane or a tank. The Huey is most on our mind, of course, and unfortunately, that request runs out after 3 years with the Army TACOM in Warren, Michigan. So I just wanted to approach the council tonight just to see if I wrote a letter to National VFW on behalf of our VFW, if they would consider it, with the buy-in of the council, of course, and the mayor and the city administrator. It is state-owned property on what our Memorial Park is on, and it'd be, if they had a static display that they could give us, it would be on loan from the Army, basically, and we would keep it upkeep it or whatever. But it'd be, if they approve it, if they have anything, it'd be on record for 3 years, I guess. You know, unless I can win the lottery and just go buy my own or whatever, for 50,000 or whatever. But that's, I just wanted to bring it up to council to get the city's buy-in basically to say absolutely, or whatever, before I even write a letter to the National VFW. To say, we'd like to pursue it, and I'd like to put in the letter that, you know, the city of Kenyon has kind of bought into it, and stuff like that, Mr. Mayor.
Commander, what I did talk to Mark, city administrator, about this here just very shortly before. So he's aware of what is going on, but we kind of discussed, Mark, help me out if I'm wrong, bringing it up next month as a motion, putting it onto the council meeting.
That's fine, I don't have to be here, do I?
No, you don't have to be
That
there.
way.
No.
But no, that's why I wanted to come at least today, to at least bring it in front of you all to say, you know, is it warranted that I even write a letter to the National VFW headquarters? To say that the city is all in favor, or whatever the vote would be.
How are we gonna handle that then, Mark?
Well, if you want an official, something on the record, the council, we could put it on the agenda for next month, and the council could, you know, vote on it, which I assume they would support. If you just want, you know, me to sign a letter or something, we can just do that without them voting on it, do it sooner. But if you want them to vote on it, we have to, you know, put it on the agenda for the next regular meeting.
I don't know if it truly needs to be on the agenda.
Can we make a motion?
I just need it to be.
Well, it's not on the agenda, so technically.
Oh, you have to have it on the agenda before you
But,
make the.
you know,
Okay,
maybe the easiest thing would be,
So if that's the
Send a
legality of
letter.
it, and that's fine. I mean.
we could just send a letter of support, and even Doug and I could both sign it or whatever, and I would think that'd be sufficient.
Absolutely. And
Attorney
anything
Riggs,
to help.
do you have something to say on it?
Yeah, the bottom line is the council's in consensus of moving forward. You're right, the mayor and Mark and I'll sign a letter and be fine. So I don't think there's a need to go back to the agenda, Mark. I
No.
don't think you really need to. So no, if you folks are in favor of it, let Mark know, and he can work and get the letter ready, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Good.
Awesome. Well, thank you for your time. Yep.
Thank you,
City
sir.
Council, Mr. Mayor, City Administrator, so.
Commander, we'll see that you get that shortly.
And your truck can pick it up, right?
Right on, and going over and get the tank.
Okay, all right, I appreciate it. So, you don't mind if I step out now, do you?
No, you're free to go.
All right, thank you very much for your time, everyone.
Thank you, Commander. Okay, mine gave up here. What is going on?
Need to be plugged in?
Yeah.
Move his mic closer.
Good. Does that need to be plugged in? Your iPad?
No, he's all right.
I
He's
got it
not
back
like-
up
he's
again.
all right.
Oh, you did, okay.
Okay, next on the list is the adopt the agenda.
Doug, you got one more.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Mr. Gressett, I'm sorry about that.
No, we're good. Mayor, council, Todd Gressett, I'm county commissioner for District 3. So I just wanted to stop here and say hi, and, you know, I think everyone knows me, or introduce myself, and just see if there's anything you would like to discuss tonight, if there's, you know, the county, right now we're going, COVID is pretty much taking a lot of the time of HHS and, you know, all the different services of the county, and it's quite an undertaking, because as soon as they plan on something, it changes. So, other than that, we're looking at doing a ditch project out here in Kenyon Township. That's getting to be closer finally. I know it's been a few years, you know. Probably should have been done about 12 years ago, but, oh, just kidding, Dan, sorry.
That's all right, you'll find out, you don't get it all done that you want to get done.
Doing a what project?
The ditch project?
Ditch project.
Ditch one, Goodyear County. We have one ditch in Goodyear County that gets, you know, move the water, and that's down in Kenyon Township.
Oh.
So, that's gonna be quite a major project, but, as I said to Dan coming here, I've always wanted to be like Dan all my life, so I'm one step closer. So if there's anything for me, please contact me, emails or calls, and, you know, we'll do whatever we can, and I just want to say hi.
Is there any update on the garbage, that lawsuit?
We're currently in a lawsuit, so, you know, I can't give out a lot of information on it until back in court, but it's, you know, it's there, and they're working on it, and they said 30 to 60 days till we hear, you know, any results back on it.
So you're, you're probably aware of our business park that's under construction, and we'll just kind of keep in contact with you about that.
Oh, absolutely.
There may be some, like reconfiguration of the county's 5 or 10-year road plan with 12. We talked about that last year, about possibly upgrading that sooner, sooner
Is
than
there access
10
to
years.
60 from that too, or not?
No, not right now. Eventually there could be to the north, but, I'll talk to you about that at some point here, maybe in the spring.
Does the industrial park butt up right to the county shop plan?
No, but we have, it abuts up to our land where the city shop is. And then we have a concept plan that shows a road going all the way up to 60. But that'll be, once that park gets developed more, maybe we'll see some things in the spring here going on out there that may expedite a road going in from Highway 60, and eventually they'll, the idea is they'll connect up, so.
I don't know how much it'll take to get County 12, much of that.
But it's more drainage, like putting in a storm sewer, long term, so we know this is probably a few years out, but so I'm kind of keeping it in the back of your radar here a little bit.
Yeah, I can mention public works, like you say, at least put it on the,
Yeah,
sooner you put it on the agenda or get it in the process. Just like a bridge, they can say, yeah, we're gonna do a bridge in 2 years, but projects change and move, and all of a sudden you're 5 years out and the bridge is falling apart.
yeah.
So,
Sounds good.
all right. Don't be scared to call. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Is there any other citizens' comments? Okay. Need you adopt the agenda as is? Is there any changes that you know of? Anybody? Do we have a motion on that?
I motion we adopt the agenda.
I'll second it. Motion been made, second to adopt the agenda as is. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, pass. Well, this is the first time we don't have to go through roll call. It's pretty neat.
It is.
So, okay, next one on the list is, we can do the consent agenda, approval of minutes and appointments, and the financial all at one time. And again, we need a motion on that. I'll make the motion to accept consent agenda, approval of minutes and appointments and financial.
I'll second.
Okay, motion been made and second to approve the consent agenda, approval of minutes and appointments and the financial. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ayes pass. Okay. Now we can go to presentations, public hearings, recognition and proclamations. And the first one on there is school bus driver appreciation day proclamation.
Okay, so, that proclamation will need to be read. Mayor, I don't know if you want to read that or if you want me to read it.
Down in someplace down here.
Yeah, if you go down a little bit.
What a page.
After the minutes, it would be on page 10.
Okay.
You're looking at the left-hand corner of the civil page numbers.
Doug, there's one in your red folder too.
Yeah, there is.
There's
one
one in your
red folder
red folder.
that we.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry about that.
This is not. Well, I mean,
Okay.
It's probably better just to give it one page.
This is a presentation to the School Bus Driver Appreciation
That's
Day.
the side.
Whereas school bus drivers are going above and beyond their typical duties to serve students and our communities during this unprecedented school year, and whereas school bus drivers have taken on new essential roles during the COVID-19 pandemic to serve their communities, and whereas school bus drivers have implemented new rigorous health and safety protocols to transport students to and from school safely during the COVID-19 pandemic. Whereas the school bus drivers have boosted community morale during challenging times, and whereas school bus drivers play a critical role in our school systems and have a positive influence on the students' educational experience, and whereas the city of Kenyon appreciates school bus drivers and recognize the invaluable pardon me, contributions they make to public education and student safety. This week, we recognize these worthy professionals. Therefore, I, Doug Henke, Mayor of Kenyon, do hereby proclaim the week of February 22 to 26, 2021 as School Bus Driver Appreciation Week in Kenyon. And I think we all need to, when we do see the bus drivers out there, tell them thank you for what they've done, or what they're doing. I also know for Held Bus Service, Mr. Held himself, I know, puts a lot of time in. So I would say if you do see him, tell them thank you for what they do.
Need some water.
I need some water. Your water?
I'll see what I can find.
Is there any other proclamations or anything to do? We do need a motion on that too, I see, so.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, motion
School Bus
has been
Driver
made.
Appreciation Day.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion's been made and second for School Bus Driver Appreciation Day proclamation. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Sorry about.
I think that we all get one.
Okay, I think we're gonna have to wait on engineering. Find out from Mark here first.
It's nice to see something about FEMA again.
What's that?
It's nice to see something about that FEMA, that flood.
What's that, who's dealing with?
No, it's on here.
Oh, okay.
It's just, it's been quite a while.
Incidentally, on the school bus deal, apparently everybody was busy tonight. It has something to do with Held Bus, so there wasn't anybody here to present the award to. So, can we just pass up engineering and go on to legal?
Yeah,
Okay, so we'll go with legal. Mr. Riggs, what do you have?
I will jump in on the discussion we had last month on the regulation of trees, section 845.01, et cetera, in the city code. I did talk to Mark last week, and I said I'm not going to give you an ordinance for the agenda packet because there's still some questions I have. I talked to Wayne briefly tonight, and he answered a couple of ones, but the main concern I had with our discussion last month was, in looking at this ordinance, it clearly is a situation where any tree that's in the right of way of anywhere in the city, whether it's the boulevard, street right away, whatever it may be, it's really something the city controls. And by just wholesale eliminating the permit requirement could lead to some serious issues and potentially, I would say, a liability issue if we allow somebody else to go in there and cut a tree down, cut it improperly, it falls and hits somebody else. The city will be liable, not that person who cut the tree down. So I want a little more time to look at this, work with Mark, work with Wayne. So that's kind of my update on that. Again, Wayne already answered a couple of questions I had, so that helps, but you'll have an ordinance next month. Certainly have time if we do it in March to make sure we're not getting any unfrozen grounds, we should be fine. But yeah, that's the update there. I have nothing more than that. Still working on it. The liability concerned me, but we'll figure it out and we'll get it back to you.
You're not concerned people might plant trees tomorrow morning?
Yeah, I'm not worried about that yet.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's all on that one.
So then, in other words, we
Nothing to
set
do.
it right as is.
Yep, nothing to do. You'll have an ordinance next month to have explained and then act on that.
Okay. How far is, Derek along?
Well, he's still in there, so I would just go to the next item.
Okay, well, we go in then with the old business then. City of Kenyon.
Now, we still have B. Item B on the legal is still, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry. Mark had in the packet a lot split, which is I think a pretty straightforward lot split application. We've done these very frequently over the years. The same resolution is being used. Our ordinances allow us to do that as a minor subdivision. So in essence, unless you have any questions, and Mark has anything further to add to that, it's recommended you adopt the resolution that will complete the lot split.
What is that? That's just somebody's gonna split their lot and sell the other piece to somebody else or something?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, and this lot was split, or I mean, they've applied for the lot split, but they have a purchase agreement with the Snowdrifters Snowmobile Club
Oh.
to buy the parcel A on that plat.
Oh, okay.
That's in the package, so.
Okay.
And they received a variance, approval for a variance, which is contingent on the lot split being approved
Okay.
back in December from the planning commission, because both these lots are under the 2.5 acre minimum, that is the minimum lot size in the A zoning district. So this doesn't really change that, because the bigger lot was still under 2.5 acres. And those two lots split would be under that, obviously, so.
Okay.
But the plan commission approved that variance.
So resolution 2021-04 will take care of everything we need here.
Yeah.
I will move approval of resolution 2021-04.
I'll second that.
Okay, a motion has been made and second on resolution 2021-04, approving minor subdivision for the city of Kenyon property. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Ayes, pass. Anything else, attorney?
Nothing further on that. Nope.
Okay, then I guess we can go on to old business. And from what I gather, Mark, are you gonna take that?
Yes. Yeah, basically this is just an update, but based on the EDA annual meeting, feedback received from that meeting, two implementation steps were added to section D concerning looking at possible future parks and trails. And you have a copy of the strategic plan in the meeting material. So it would be basically D5 and D6 were added, looking at park and trail needs in the future. This is really kind of an ongoing thing, so.
Was that kind of from like what we were talking about in the EDA the other
Yes.
day? Okay.
Yeah, that was from the discussion at the EDA meeting, so I added those two steps
Okay.
to the strategic plan, so. So that's all, there's no action needed, it's just information.
Well, then we move right along. We'll start then with new business. Pay equity compliance report. Again,
Or you can go back to Derek if you want, I guess.
should we hold up and let?
Well, yeah, if you wanna go, I'll talk about.
Okay.
All cities and counties are required to submit pay equity reports every 3 years to the Minnesota Department of Administration. A summary of the report is included in the meeting packet. Summary shows that the city should be in compliance with pay equity law requirements. The report will be reviewed, once it's adopted by the council, will be reviewed by the Department of Administration for final compliance. So just ask for approval of that. So we just need a motion.
Yeah, we're gonna need a motion on that. Is there any more discussion on it? Anybody have?
No, I haven't looked at it, but I'm sure I don't understand.
I'll move approval of submitting the pay equity compliance report.
Oh, here we go, I see it.
Is there a second on it?
I'll second. I'll
You
second.
heard? How did you did? Okay. The motion has been made and second on the pay equality compliance report. Is there any more discussion on it? If not, all in favor say aye.
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 Pass. Want to continue on, Mark, or let Derek?
You ready?
I'm ready to go.
Okay, yeah,
Okay,
very good.
we'll go back there. We'll go back to engineering. And the first part of it will be Red Wing Avenue project update.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Again, I apologize for my tardiness here tonight. I got double booked. So here now, ready to go. The updates I have for you here tonight, they're really just kind of progress updates. They don't have any actionable items. But for the Red Wing Avenue project, as you know, there really has been any active progress on this project, even though we're in winter. We have been spending a little bit of time starting on the as-built or record drawings that will eventually turn over to the city. But other than that, that project is just at a standstill until next spring. Business Park is also in that same situation, as you know. Are there any questions regarding either of those two projects? Anything that's going on on site?
Do them both two at the same time, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, Red Wing and EDA, the Kenyon Business Park,
Mhm.
okay? Then the FEMA flood repair.
So with this project, I wanted to give a little bit of background, just with some of the people that are just kind of learning about some of these projects that we've been working on. So I included a little bit of discussion in my letter that was in the packet. So just to kind of summarize what's going on with this project in Riverside Park, or is it North Park? Is that what everyone?
We call it North Park, but it's Riverside Park according to FEMA.
Sure.
Google Maps.
So in 2019, there was got a bad combination of heavy snow melt and some untimely rains that caused excessive flooding throughout southern Minnesota. So as a result of that, there was some federal disaster relief that was approved through FEMA, and that provided the city with an opportunity to get grant funds to repair any damage from that flood event. So after that flood event, when Wayne was down there looking at it, there was some loss of the riverbank slope along the edge of the river there. Basically just from erosive action from the fast and high flood waters. And there was also some erosion issues on that eastern access road. If you look up on the screen, it's on the right side of the park. Basically that area was washed out and had some heavy erosion. So with this federal disaster relief out there over this past year and a half-ish, we've been coordinating with FEMA to get them information on what was damaged, what we would potentially do to address these issues in terms of a project, and basically provide them with all the information that they need to actually approve this funding. It's very common with FEMA that this process takes realistically quite a bit longer than it should. But ultimately, we did give them all the information that they were looking for, and late last year they approved is about $90,000 in grant. So that's an amount that's partially funded by FEMA, partially funded by the state of Minnesota, but all adds up to about $90,000. At our current estimates, this project that I'm talking about here tonight is estimated at $115,000. The really nice thing with this grant opportunity is if the project comes in over my estimate, we can apply for more grant because the costs were more than we estimated. If it comes in under, you don't have to give it back. So it's a really good scenario that's set up for these repairs. And basically what we're talking about for the actual repairs is we'd be taking that riverbank slope and taking it back at a nice even grade. A 4-to-1 slope would be a mobile type of slope that would be stable. And also adding some additional features to make sure that an existing storm sewer pipe is reset and good to go for the future. And then also regrading that eastern access road so that's usable again to anyone that might want to use it.
So Derek, before you leave, can you, leave the screen, can you just explain the different shades of green on that map and then the red, what the red dots mean?
Sure. I'm just going to go right up to the screen here and I'll start pointing. So down here, I'll start on this end. This is just a little culvert replacement. These are very old culverts, and actually they weren't damaged with the project. They just need to be replaced. So we'll get those done at the same time. This riverbank sloping is this whole area along here. So we just take that and cut that back at a nice, less steep slope, not the current drop off that it is right now. Some of these little dots that you see that go out into the river, what we had proposed with this application is the addition of what we call bendway meters. So basically what this is little fingers of rock or riprap or some other type of device that will stay put in the river when you place it there. And the whole purpose behind that is whenever these rivers are curving like this, the outer edge of that bend in the river is the area that's going to erode. That's where the water is moving the fastest. So how do we prevent that? We slow the water down. We put these little blockades just on the edge of the river to slow that water down in that location. And then it should prevent those erosive issues that can come up into the future. So lastly, this eastern access road, this is basically just digging any of the rock and eroded material that came down that slope, cleaning that up, putting new turf on, and then grading in a shallow swale and putting in a little culvert to convey that water where it should be going, but it isn't continually running over the top of the road and causing more issues into the future.
Dan, and then there's a storm sewer culvert apron, it's hanging off in the river right now, where those piers are.
Yeah,
That's the reason for that.
that one's located right here.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So will that kind of like keep it from flooding out so bad in the future with the new culverts and stuff, or we just can't help that, it's just gonna happen?
Yeah, this is more of just stabilizing everything and try to get it back to the, at least a condition that's similar to what it was before.
Okay.
It's not a flood improvement, it's not gonna change the water surface elevation, anything like that.
Okay.
I have a couple questions. Because we're in a new administration from Trump to Biden, do we have to worry about that at all? With
This is all already approved.
This is already approved?
Yeah, and actually, do you guys have the money already?
Yeah, some of it we've got.
Okay.
I believe so.
Okay, and then the other question I have is, who does that work? Is that local, or is that like federal?
No,
Teams that come in.
we would send this out for quotes So basically, we just gotta get a couple of permits approved, with the DNR.
So local crews would be doing the work.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
So we just gotta finish up with the design here this summer, and then we'll send it out for quotes a little, towards springtime, and then they'll do the work this summer.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else that you have?
Nope, that was about it, unless there's any other questions.
Okay. We could move on then, back to where we were, was into new business. And we got item C, which is MetroNet, proposed installation of citywide fiber internet system. Mark, you want to bring us up to date on that anymore?
Yeah. So the city was approached last fall, actually, by MetroNet. MetroNet is I don't know if I call them a national company. They're from Fort Wayne, Indiana, but they're more maybe Midwest. They bought Jaguar last year, Jaguar Communications from Owatonna. And so they've been looking at trying to put cable fiber in cities in more, I guess, southeastern Minnesota, but I guess they're also, according to Bob Bose, looking in the metro in some cities.
They are started moving up there, yes.
Like around Lake Minnetonka, which I think is interesting, areas they're trying to fight off there. But anyway, they approached us last fall, and they came back a couple of weeks ago and said they're interested in, and they've gone to other communities around around us. West Concord is one that I'm aware of.
Yep.
And basically what they want to do is, basically they brought us a letter, like an engagement letter. They don't want to do a traditional franchise agreement, but they are willing to look at this. It's about a 5-page, and you have the marked up copy in your packet of an agreement that would cover their installation. So I sent this to Scott's office, and then it went to Bob Volz, who is one of his partners, who is a telecommunications contract expert. Bob and I go way back on projects with Frontier, actually, or with MediaCom, but Bob's also the city attorney for Pine Island, so just as a side note. But anyway, he did go through this in a lot of detail and made a lot of changes to it, and I don't really want to go through all those tonight so much, but this is, I guess, more of an information thing, because what we'd like to do is ship this back to MetroNet and then see what their comments are on this. Basically, Bob's approach to this is, with some changes, revisions, he's okay with this letter of agreement, but when it hits 50, which is what the state law says, if it's more than 50 customers, that's when cities can impose a franchise agreement. He would like to revisit that question, and part of this would be performance-based, saying, that if their work has gone well and it looks like they're meeting, the responsibilities that they're supposed to do, that maybe we would consider some type of an engagement letter versus a 30-page franchise agreement. So basically, that's kind of where it's at right now. They're telling us that they're looking at different communities to see the level of quote-unquote support they get. Now, obviously, some of this is financial, because when you read this, it talks about no fees. When we met with them, I was able to drill down. Wayne and then Randy Egger from KMU and I met with them a few weeks ago, and they're willing to pay poll fees that they would attach to. They're willing to pay some permit fees, so it's not that they wouldn't pay any fees, and I think maybe this reflects that. But, yeah, so Scott, I don't know if you have any.
Not really, other than this is really, it's no guarantee they're coming. This is sort of their negotiation point of how they're testing the water, so to speak. So it makes all the sense in the world that if there's interest, send the letter back, see where it goes, and see what they do. And if they come, they construct, and they get over the number of subscribers, like Mark said, then you can decide whether a franchise is required or not. your other franchisees of MediaCom will say they have to have one, so there'll be an issue to deal with there, but the reality is, that's way down the road, from what you're talking about tonight.
And the reason we have to approve these is because they're going on our system.
Right away.
Right away.
Yeah, right away, and
Yeah,
And state statute requires anybody that provides cable services, and that's a part of this is cable, they have to have a franchise under state law. They're also providing other things that don't require a franchise, so it's kind of a hybrid approach, but most of the entities are now doing that type of approach.
If I understand this right, they're a relatively new company. What kind of a background do they have, you know, out from other cities? What kind of work have they done? What's their qualifications?
Well, they're new to Minnesota. They purchased a company that was operating in Minnesota though. So I mean, there's history from another entity that's been in Minnesota. The reality is, yeah, who knows? I mean, as Mark said, I think they're out of Indiana.
yeah, I think Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Yeah, so I mean, they're trying to move into this market, so it's a new entity for us. It's a new group of people. But, you know, that's,
Is there something that we can kind of get a background on a little bit?
if it goes beyond, yeah, if it goes beyond this letter stage that you're talking about here, and they're talking about coming into the community to do construction, yeah, you'll do much more due diligence at that point in time. They have to capitalize, they have to have dollars to do this. I don't know if they've got the dollars to do it. Do they have the dollars to do it here, if they're trying to do it up in Minnetonka, as well as, you know, West Concord and a number of other places down this way? I think they're testing the waters to see what the interest is, and we'll be going from there. So no, this is not the last word by any means.
Their MetroNet has been involved in, that I'm aware of, and I'm assuming they're in other communities too, but in Rochester, for probably 3 years, they've been putting in, you know, fiber. And even in my neighborhood, not right in front of my townhouse, but they have been putting in, you know, slowly but surely laying fiber, and this was last fall.
Okay.
And they did, you know, a very good, the crews that they had come in, you know, you can tell they're contractors, but they did a good job. They had, you know, they dug heads and they put, I forget what the, kind of the slang term is, but they did everything, directionally bored everything, so they would just dig pits and then, you know, drop the cable in, run it so many feet, backfill them, and they had, you know, cover within a couple hours, just boom, boom, boom. And you can't even tell, you know, where they work. So from that standpoint, I was pretty impressed with them. But the other side of it that we've run into is, we do have fiber from Jaguar, which now MetroNet owns, into the library, because all the Celco libraries were connected through a federal grant. And Jaguar provided to all the libraries in southeastern Minnesota fiber. And, you know, they did a fine job, Jaguar did. But MetroNet came and said, well, we could hook up your buildings, and we talked to them about the police department, and I don't need to get, you know, in detail, like, get the chief going on that, but that was a disaster. I mean, it was terrible because they never showed up. And they came and told us, we'll be, you know, another 6 weeks. And then after about 4 weeks, 5 weeks, they called and said, well, we don't know when it's gonna be. And we just went, so, but that was, I will say, that was more Jaguar crew, Jaguar management people than it was the MetroNet people. So I think we have to kind of just take the next step here and see what happens, because I do think there's a lot of interest, obviously, in town for another alternative to Frontier and MediaCom. I think in most towns, for that matter. And so, from that standpoint, that's what they're planning on, but at the same time, we have to cover ourselves as a city. And so, we don't know, and I can contact, like, right, if we get further along here, Rochester Public Works or the city engineer's office, and kind of see if they've had any issues. I haven't heard of any, or read of any, but.
So this is just kind of an informative?
Yeah,
So
yeah, they've approached us, and
we're taking on it, right?
we're taking the next steps, and I want the council to be aware of what's going on here, so.
One thing that jumped out to me is on page 3 of their letter. Part D solicitation, and they want to be able to go door knocking from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. or sunset. And there's no list of days on there. Can we rein them in on that?
Yeah.
Okay,
Sure.
Sundays for sure, none, you know, leave people alone on Sunday.
Yeah.
And sunset in the summertime can be close to 10 o'clock,
Yeah.
so, you know,
I'd say 10 to 7.
yeah, 10 to 7, Monday through, I don't know, maybe Monday through Friday. I don't care how you shorten that up, but let's keep them out, you know.
Yeah.
Put some constraints on there anyway.
This salesman did say this was kind of just like a blanket packet, it wasn't like town specific.
Right.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a template, so they're willing to, which obviously we're definitely gonna do that, but they're willing to, you know, modify it.
Yeah, well, for me, I think the big thing was, you know, keeping them out from door knocking on Sundays. And whatever else anyone else thinks it was important, but
He made the point about the door knocking part was, he says they're trying to be very visible with customers, like, hey, we're gonna be in your neighborhood working, so if you see us, it's us. We're not trying to hide. So.
Was Cam, you satisfied with what came through
With this?
in Public Works? Yeah. Do you guys have any questions on it?
Yeah, they said they would be willing to pay the pole fee, so I know that was Randy's big concern, and he said, well, we know we have to do that, because in a lot of cities, the poles are not the cities, but they're private companies, so he said that isn't a big deal. Yeah, I think so. No,
Yeah,
if there was any-
they talked about where they would follow the current system now. So if it's overhead, they would go overhead. And if it's underground, they would go underground to mirror what's already out there.
Yeah, and it did state in there too about poles that they have to put them on, you know, their own and taking it up and down, that sort of thing, so. Derek, were you there at that meeting?
No.
I wasn't part of that. I talked with Mark on a couple
Okay,
of
that's
things,
good.
if you wanted to get into that permit discussion.
No.
Do that a little bit unless,
So
that's
I
a
was,
later discussion.
Uh,
That was part of your memo.
Oh, yeah, no, I don't think we need to get
Okay.
into so much of the fees at this point, but, yeah, we still would negotiate that with them.
Mhm. And from that, you know, the construction standpoint, I was kind of looking at that, that's, when I'm dealing with these types of companies, if you're having issues with them, a lot of times it's the cleanup stuff, leaving someone's yard a mess, maybe not regrowing grass, that type of thing. From what I've heard, there haven't been issues with that, and actually, it looks like they do have a pretty good public interface to allow people to actually submit claims or complaints or anything like that, so that those types of complaints don't come back to the city and they can deal with them directly. It looked like they had a pretty good system in place. Again, it would probably be good to verify with like City of Rochester to see how that's been going, but I guess that was the little bit that I had looked at and I had thought of.
okay.
Another city is, they just completed Otama too.
Anybody else have any more questions, discussion on it?
So if the council's, I guess, consensus is, we'll send this back to them, we don't need a motion or anything, but it would come back then, once we get, if they come back and say, okay, we're interested in moving ahead and planning, we'll get this, you know, obviously the marked up copy with their comments, go back to VOS, and then we'll bring it for approval, so that could be within a month or two, depending on what they come back with, and how soon they come back. That's the key thing.
If there's any more discussion, then we'll move on. So we can go to item D, which is vaccination dispensing site cooperative agreement with Goodhue County Sheriff's Department and emergency management.
Goodhue County Emergency Management Office has been seeking sites in the county to conduct COVID-19 public vaccination clinics. The shots would be administered by county health and human service personnel. They are requesting authorization to utilize the fire hall as a site. They're proposing to conduct vaccinations on Friday, starting in February. They have provided an agreement to the communities so far. These sites are have been approved in Red Wings and Broda Cannon Falls, and so Kenyon would be the last site. We've looked at this site and the proposal, the Lee and the fire chief, Lee Skillstead and Wayne, and we do not see any issues with holding the clinic at the fire hall. We think it would benefit area residents. The county has agreed to be responsible for cleanup and disposal of waste after each clinic at the fire hall.
Yeah, that was, what was her name, Barbara, or what was it, Brenda? I was here when you had that phone conversation.
Oh, that was emergency management director.
Diane.
Diane, that's it, Ritter. Yeah, okay. Is there any discussion on that?
I think is a great spot. Lots of parking and easy to find and right off the highway. So I'll move we approve the agreement to allow the fire hall to be a vaccination dispensing site as with Goodhue County.
I'll second. Good.
Go ahead.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any more discussion? There's been a motion made and second for the vaccination dispensing site, cooperative agreement with Goodhue County Sheriff's Department of Emergency Management. All of those in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, pass. Okay, move it along. Kenyon PD eyewitness identification procedure. Chief Sherlander, speak.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. What you have before you is a standard policy for the new council members, maybe don't know, or maybe some of the other board members don't know. And if I'm yelling, I'm sorry, I don't want to sound like you can't hear me. The post board is our licensing board, and so they make the rules as far as for training and licensing and so forth, so we follow a lot of that. It'd be like maybe like a nursing board or some other licensing board, a teacher's board would have to renew your licenses and do this kind of stuff. This policy is standard and it's mandatory, so we have to have one. We again kind of follow with Cannon Falls and so forth, a lot of the same lingo. And what it basically does, in my opinion, is it makes lineups and so forth more cohesive, a little more consistent. I can tell you in my 25-year career, I think I've been involved in one. So we don't see a lot of this, but we still have to have the policies in place. And so, yeah, we brought it before you and just kind of want to get your input and if you have any questions or anything like that. So it just goes into standard practice. If we would have something like this, it would probably be a larger scale kind of an event. And we would probably be working along with Cannon Falls and the Sheriff's Office and so forth to get the photos and do this kind of stuff. So. Any questions on that? Could you hear me all okay? I feel like I'm yelling too much.
So will most police departments in Minnesota follow the?
They have to.
They have to. Okay.
Yeah, this is not if you feel like it.
Right.
Their policies might vary a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Real large agencies, I'm sure, have a whole division devoted to this kind of stuff. Small agencies would probably say, we're going to hand a lot of this off to the neighboring town or whatever. So yeah, you have to have this policy or something very, very similar. We sent this to the post board. They sent us an email that said, hey, we didn't get it. So we mailed it, so then I scanned it and sent it, and they said this meets the rules and regulations of this is in compliance. So it meets their standards, but they probably have two versions now, the one that we mailed to them and then the one that we emailed to them as well. So, and then I had my coworkers sign it, and it's all in place. And I can tell you that if something like this happened, it would not be just a single officer event. It would be, they would call me or I would call them, and we would all kind of coordinate who does what. Any Any other questions on that? It kind of gives you the definitions of who does what. And like I said, it's more of a consistency policy. In my opinion, just to make sure that everything's followed right. Any other questions or anything? All right, thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna need a motion on that, Kenyon PD eyewitness identification procedure. Somebody wants to make that motion?
Will you approve it?
What's that?
Then we have just have to approve it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have to do.
I make a motion to approve it.
I'll second that one then. Is there any more discussion on it? Okay, motion's been made. Second for Kenyon PD eyewitness identification procedure. All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Ayes pass. Well, that brings us to, is there anything else? I didn't see anything else. There was nothing changed. Brings us to other business. That'll be a schedule of upcoming meetings. KMU meeting will be Tuesday, February the 16th at 2 p.m. Next city council meeting will be Tuesday, March the 9th at 7 p.m. The Board of Appeal and Equalization is Thursday, April the 15th at 5 p.m. Mark, right now, how many do we have that are authorized for the next, besides myself, who else? And Dan, I believe that's two. We need 3.
I think we just need 2 as a minimum, but,
Well, I mean, to
We
make,
have time to
make
go
decision,
through.
otherwise it goes back to the county again.
No, I don't think it's, I think you need one in order to do.
No. In the past, when we were here a couple of years back, there was only about 2 of us on. We needed 3 to make the,
well,
otherwise it goes back to the county again.
the thing is, if somebody else or a couple of you go through the training, then we'll be fine. But,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, yeah.
What are we talking
Board of Adjustment. So Board of Adjustment
Yeah,
meeting.
us too, it's like.
Okay, great, I wasn't just making it.
So, Board of Adjustment is where property owners, when they get their tax valuation statements, can come to the Board of Adjustment to basically ask that it be reviewed, the valuation of people's houses or the commercial buildings or whatever. There will be statements that go out in maybe March that will have the next year's proposed valuation. And so residents, wherever they live in the county, in any county, can go, or city can go there, and there's a Board of Adjustment meeting, and that's where they can, if they feel that it was raised too high, they can ask that it be reviewed. And if that doesn't work, then they can ultimately appeal it to district court, et cetera. But that's what that meeting is. And there's online training as Board of Adjustment board members, city council members, that you could take, and I don't think it's a real big time commitment. I could get that from the county assessor, but I believe if, you know, just one more person takes, I mean, I think we're probably okay with what we have, but Mary and Molly, if you guys want to take it, then, you know, and it's probably a good learning thing for you two to go through.
It's worth, I believe it's 5 years it's good for, I think.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, you can do it online, and it's easy to work with, the whole works on it, and it isn't something that you gotta sit down and complete in one phase. You can work at it a little bit.
So is there a deadline of this date to get it done by?
No, so, okay,
Oh, sorry.
so I'm looking at the manual from the Minnesota Department of Revenue, and here's what it says. Legislation enacted in 2008 requires that there be at least one member at each meeting of a Board of Appeal and Equalization who has completed the Appeals and Equalization course developed or approved by the Commissioner of Revenue within the last 4 years. So we're fine, because I just took it 2 years ago. So we just need one.
I wonder where there was 3 at one time.
I don't know, but I'm reading it right from the Minnesota Department of Revenue here, so this is, yeah.
I'll tell you, well, it's worth it just to take a look at it. It doesn't cost you anything, and you can do the whole works on it. You'll get your certificate online, and you can bring it right into City Hall and just have to do it here, so it's worth it.